The following is a production of Florida State University's Office of University Communications. Coming up on FSU Headlines. Best of the best. Florida State University's Teacher of the Year. Trip of a lifetime. FSU students take the world by storm thanks to the prestigious Fulbright Scholarship. And biking for a cause. An FSU police officer raises awareness on his Unconquered Ride. Stay tuned for these stories and much, much more. FSU Headlines starts now. Hello and welcome to FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker.
And I'm Nora Bertollet. We're broadcasting here in the beautiful William Johnston building at Florida State University.
In our top headline this month, Florida State honors an outstanding instructor with its 2015 Distinguished Teacher Award. Biology professor Tricia Terebelski has taught students and conducted research at Florida State University for over 27 years. During her time in the classroom, Terebelski has been instrumental in helping her students achieve their goals. And for her efforts, the biology professor received national teaching accolades. Well, now you can add Distinguished Teacher to the list. It's Florida State University's highest teaching award, and Terebelski was the perfect recipient according to her students and colleagues. Terebelski says her enthusiasm for helping her students and working with fellow faculty is what fuels her teaching passion.
Teaching is a very vital activity, so I did research for many, many years, and I was very passionate about that, but it's a very private kind of passion. But teaching is very vital and dynamic, and you feed off of your students, and they feed off of you. So that's what I really like about it. And it's also very validating, because if you get through to students, they let you know.
And Professor Terebelski receives a $7,500 stipend to go along with the award. Congratulations.
The weeks leading up to graduation can be an exciting yet anxious time for many students. One Florida State senior was not only anticipating graduation, he was also awaiting some important news about a one-of-a-kind scholarship that could take him across the pond to study at England's Oxford University.
So I actually, I woke up to an acceptance email from Oxford in April.
When Tallahassee native David Miller wrote his undergraduate thesis on the connection between health practices, religion, and public health, he didn't know his work fell under the parameters of Oxford University's medical anthropology program, or that there was a relatively new scholarship to the prestigious university specifically for Florida students.
So I sort of had to play it cool and realize that I still might not be able to go.
Working with the Office of National Fellowships helped tie his studies at FSU to the Frost Scholarship, which covers all university and college fees to one of the oldest universities in the world.
And then 2 days later, the same thing happened, and I woke up to another email telling me that I got the scholarship. And so that's when, I could really celebrate. I called everyone. I called the Office of National Fellowships, my professors in the religion department, my family.
Although David graduated in May, he wasn't quite ready to leave Florida State University behind.
I really like that I can still come back to FSU and take more classes and learn from the professors who gave me so much during my 4 years as an undergrad and continue my Florida State education.
And David, along with fellow FSU Frost Scholarship recipient Richard Rogers, will start classes at Oxford in September.
A Florida State professor is set to study sustainability in local governments. Sustainability is an important part of any organization, from universities to businesses. That same thought applies to local governments who spend taxpayer dollars. The importance of sustainability has led to the National Science Foundation awarding a new grant to Florida State University researcher and professor in the Reuben Askew School of Public Administration, Rick Fyock. He and his collaborators will use the $100,000 grant to study sustainability and how municipal governments can best coordinate their efforts.
This grant is to study a nuts and bolts public administration question. So how can you best organize agencies within a government? And sustainability is a dilemma because you have all these functional agencies within cities, public works, transportation, planning, environment, etc. And they all do their own thing, but they all in some way link to sustainability. The question is, how can you get those tasks, those activities coordinated and working together?
And FIOC and his fellow researchers will use surveys to collect and analyze data and conduct studies in 8 cities, including Tallahassee and Orlando.
Each summer, Florida State University helps military vets transition from the barracks to the boardroom with the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for veterans with disabilities.
The 9-day boot camp is filled with lectures, presentations, and seminars to give the vets the tools needed to start their own business. Take a look.
The schooling that I've gone through has given me the technical and the professional skills I'll need to actually do the craft. But coming into this program, I've been through several different business courses or classes or even that deal with the veterans. But I've never seen anything more professional, more informative, definitely entertaining, and even more so inspiring. The instructors have all been top-notch. The presentation's fantastic, and these are by people who have actually gone out and done these things, so it brings it more closer to home, and it's just fantastic. All the support that we're getting, how we're treated, it's just a wonderful experience. I've never had anything like this before.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Brandy, and thank you, Ashley, for inviting me down and giving me the opportunity to be a panelist today.
There's a lot of aha moments in this program for me. But the other night during our evening session when we're all working on our plans, they brought in people from the local Small Business Development Center. And we got to sit down one-on-one with them and kind of tell them our ideas. And here I am thinking, you know, I have this huge loan I need and nobody's ever going to give me that money. And I'm going to have to raise so much to even have money to put down that it's impossible. And he just told me, you know, your idea is backed by real estate. You can get this kind of loan with just a little bit of money down and you'll have no problem funding it. Showed me what the payment would break down to, and it made it so much more feasible.
When I was presenting, I kept thinking, what did I need when I was sitting in that seat? What did I want? And I thought about, I wanted things that were action items that I could take with me and I could implement if I had to. So something that I could, you know, package. So that's how I presented the HR piece, kind of help them. So whatever it was that they needed to do with HR, with hiring, that they would have something that they could lean on and use as a resource.
To me, it's always exciting to see people come in with an idea or a service and to sit there and know that you're able, even if we give them one idea or one piece of advice, to have an impact on their lives. You know, that's why we come to work every day.
The sense of camaraderie, the sense of synergy, just being around other veterans and hearing that they're encountering the same concerns and the same worries and the same fears. Because when we're out there trying to transition back into the community, we're so used to being in a structured environment. We're so used to everything is mapped out. You know, we're being told what to do. So to go out there and take ownership of our idea and to be able to present it with confidence, sometimes, you know, it can be a little scary, and so we feel like we're like isolated. And so just being able to come together and collectively get that structure, almost like the military, but not quite as structured, it helps to instill confidence and know that we're not alone in the fears and the concerns that we have.
And actually, Ashley presented me with this.
I'm just thankful to FSU and the veterans group here to put this on. It's been totally wonderful, and I just can't wait to go home and apply everything that we've learned and then tell about the program to my fellow veterans.
Florida State is one of just 9 universities nationwide to play host to the program each year.
Well, coming up next on FSU Headlines, Florida State students are traveling all over the world thanks to a prestigious scholarship.
For me, it's just a humongous deal. I'm so excited. I've always wanted to leave the country for an extended period of time, and I'm 22 years old, and I feel like right now is a great time to do that.
Find out where these outstanding FSU students are headed to teach and study when FSU Headlines continues in a moment.
I've always been curious about things, and that really just leads you straight into science, because science really is formalized curiosity. One of the coolest things I've gotten to do at FSU has been conduct research with Sir Harry Kroto. And I was really surprised that I would get to hear directly from a Nobel laureate in chemistry. And then I was even more surprised to find out that he was just really accessible. Being here at FSU has helped me be the best student that I can be.
When you purchase a Florida State University license plate, you're supporting students, like me. Tag, you're in.
Welcome back to FSU Headlines in Florida State University. I'm Dennis Schnitker.
And I'm Nora Bertollet.
10 Florida State University students recently received prestigious Fulbright scholarships.
The Fulbright program builds relationships between American students and the people of other countries through teaching and research abroad.
FSU Headlines caught up with 2 of FSU's Fulbright recipients to talk about the honor and their plans for the trip of a lifetime.
Going through Fulbright, I'm able to act as a representative of the United States and not only bring my own culture to Taiwan and increase those ties, but also once I come back, I'll be able to share the Taiwanese culture with my fellow Americans.
See, I'm just going to write a lot of poems, do a lot of research, read a lot of Chilean poetry. They have a really rich culture. They've had 2 Nobel laureates, Pablo Neruda and Gabriela Mistral are from there, Vicente Huidobro. It's just a great culture. They call it the country of poets, el país de los poetas. And it's just a great place to be for literature, especially poetry.
And if you'd like to see the full list of this year's FSU Fulbright scholars, you can head on over to news.fsu.edu.
Well, speaking of traveling abroad, Florida State University's international programs offers its students an opportunity to study and live abroad, even as undergraduates. In our next story, we meet 2 of those students who spent time in Italy studying and immersing themselves in the local culture.
My name is Jordan Park, and I studied abroad in Florence, Italy. Your college experience can be so much more than just being here and going to football games and enjoying the typical college experience. There's so much more that you can do. You can literally go into the world, see the world, come out with such a beautiful worldview, and really just enhance your studies and these 4 years that you have at Florida State.
My name is Paige Cranfield, and I studied in Florence, Italy. I studied abroad as a freshman, so I didn't really have anything set to study when I went there, but when I was there, I took an art history class, and that's where I started learning about art, and I actually got to see it in person, so I learned that I love art history, and so now that's what I'm doing.
While I was there, even though I couldn't stay longer, I tried to make the most out of being in the community. And a major way that I did that was through volunteering. I was able to, through my Italian 1 class, to volunteer at an elderly home where we would go a couple times a month, and we would get to play games and such with the elderly and form relationships with them and just kind of serve them that way. And then the other way was working at a women and children's shelter that I would go at once a week, once every other week, depending on how my school workload was, and just get to play with some kids.
The staff at international programs over there, they're just the greatest people that you'll ever meet. Really all sweet and down to earth and want to help you, want to be there for you. And because I was there for a whole year, I really got relationships with all of them. So that was probably one of the most enriching parts about the whole program.
You may not feel like you have the money now, you do have the time, and later when you have the money, you won't have the time. So take hold of the experience that's before you. Just don't let anything hold you back, because everyone always looks back and wishes they had or thought that would have been such a great idea. Just do it.
If you'd like to learn more about FSU's international programs, visit international.fsu.edu.
A little closer to home, a group of Florida State University students take education to the garden level, thanks to the help of FSU's Sustainable Campus Initiative.
Here it is. Yay!
Not far from campus landmarks like the Flying High Circus and the Marching Chiefs practice field are rows of zucchini, yellow squash, eggplant, and many other fruits and vegetables that grow in the Seminole Organic Garden. The goal of the student-run program and its 13 garden plots is to promote education, nutrition, and sustainability. Currently, 12 of the garden beds are occupied by various student organizations such as the Student Dietetic Association and Healthy Knolls. Biology professor Laura Keller even got her classes involved for a more hands-on learning environment. The Seminole Organic Garden provides the seeds, plants, and materials needed to start the initial stages of building a garden, and the garden manager is on hand twice a week to provide assistance.
And they all come together around this one issue of the food system and trying to learn about how to grow food. So it's really a great way to bring a bunch of different people together who have different interests, but they all connect along the line of growing your own food.
And students aren't the only ones who can benefit from the Seminole Organic Garden. Faculty, staff, and anyone associated with the university are able to participate in the on-campus gardening community.
The Florida State University College of Business recognizes its outstanding alumni with a special honor each year.
Since the year 2003, the FSU College of Business has inducted accomplished alumni into its Hall of Fame. And this year, Chairman and CEO of Bentz Enterprises and former Florida Speaker of the House and FSU Board of Trustees Chairman Alan Bentz received the honor.
I was born in Panama City on a dairy farm. Mom and Dad both died when they were 45 years old, and my wonderful grandmother kind of got stuck raising me. She never had a quarter to her name. Our power would get cut off on a regular basis. And it was just tough. It was really tough for a while. Got through high school and went off to college and was working all the time. But I began to figure out that I didn't like being a janitor. I didn't like working at a gas station. Wasn't too wild about waiting tables, that I wanted to do something good and big. So when I finished my degree and I went to the business school and met with Dr. Robert Ernest, who was chairman of the finance department. And finally got to see him, and I told him I wanted to go to the Graduate School of Business. And of course, he asked me about my grades. I said they were okay. I think he saw a little spark or something, I don't know. So finally, at the end of the meeting, he says, okay, tell you what, if you scored this much on the GMAT test or whatever it was called then come see me and we'll get you in. So I've always done well on entrance exams, always. So I scored a real high number. A couple months later, I come back to see him and wait 3 or 4 hours. And then he, let me in. And, I'm sure the second he saw me and saw my grades, my scores, I'm sure he's saying, oh no, what did I get myself into? I became Dr. Ernest's graduate assistant, and he rode me like a mule. I mean, I did all his research, helped him write his book, began teaching his classes, but he was also very, very good to me. I got a lot of job offers, and a lot of them were because he was sending out nice letters and making calls. So in life, it's wonderful if you can be successful and everybody else can be successful. I've always loved a challenge. I've always loved a challenge. All my life I've set goals. When I finished graduate school and went to work for Southeast Bank, I determined that before I was 30 years old, I was going to own a bank. I just set my mind to it. And to achieve that goal, and I tell young people this a lot of times, I could shave, brush my teeth, shower, and get dressed in 13 minutes. And I was at my office. I was at my office. And I couldn't wait. I could not wait to get there. So I was lucky enough to figure out what I wanted to do and just charge forward toward that goal. I learned everything I could learn about banking, everything I could learn about it. Lending, bookkeeping, you name it. Being a teller, I did it all because I wanted to know all the facets, and that gave me an advantage. We bought a bank. I talked 3 other guys into buying a bank. It was a troubled bank. We sold it in '85 and made a lot of money. We made a lot of money. I was elected to the Florida House in 1998, first Republican from Bay County to ever be elected to the Florida House. And I kept moving up. I got good at committee assignments, and I looked up there one day at the Speaker of the House, and I figured out, he told me where I was going to sit in the chamber. He told me where my office was going to be. He told me where I was going to park my vehicle. I like that power. I like that. So that day I decided to run for Speaker. And it was a long journey. It was a very long journey all over the state, but you know, I won. The ironic thing was at one point in time, I don't know how, at the company I worked for, we cleaned I cleaned bathrooms of the old Capitol. That was in 1974, and 30 years later I became Speaker of the House. So it's a great country. It's a great country. If I were talking to a student that's contemplating attending Florida State University College of Business, I would first of all say you're on the right track. It's one of the greatest universities in America. The faculty is outstanding. You will not find a better college of business anywhere in America.
Business alumni have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. For more information, visit business.fsu.edu.
Coming up next on FSU Headlines, an FSU police officer rides from Tallahassee to Panama City and back, all for a good cause.
I got a phone, I got some basic bike repair stuff, but if the chain breaks, I'm done. I'll be calling you because I can't fix the chain, you know.
Why Major Jim Russell is making the 100-mile bike ride when FSU Headlines continues in a moment.
Welcome back to FSU Headlines in Florida State University. I'm Dennis Schnitker.
And I'm Nora Bertollet. The Florida State University track and field team made the trip to Oregon this spring for their NCAA Championships.
That's right, Nora, and a couple of Seminoles came back to Tallahassee with national championship trophies in tow. FSU Headlines reporter Mark Vaughn joins us now to tell us about two outstanding performances on the track. Mark?
Hey, Dennis and Nora. It was a dream season for two Seminoles on the track that culminated in Oregon with gold medals. Kayla Funderburk came into the NCAAs with high hopes of a great finish, but what she did on the track surprised probably even her. She ran the race of her life in lane 8, which, if you know track, is notoriously bad when it comes to the 400-meter race. No matter for Kayla, as she blazed down the track and took the NCAA title in the 400 with a time of 51.67 seconds. Funderburk delivered FSU its first individual women's championship since 2011 and propelled the Seminoles to 6th place overall, their best team finish since '09. Funderburk claimed FSU's first championship in the 400-meter event since Marita Payne won it in 1984, and she earned FSU's first All-America honors in the 400 since 1999. Not alone in winning an NCAA title, Funderburk is joined by Colleen Quigley as an NCAA champion. Quigley took home the title in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. In her final collegiate race, she saved her best for last, winning in a blazing time of 9 minutes 29 seconds. Quigley earned more honors for her work as a student athlete, as she was named the 2015 Atlantic Coast Conference Women's Outdoor Track and Field Scholar Athlete of the Year, headlining the sport's All-ACC academic teams. She's among a group of 14 Seminoles and ACC leading 9 women as well as 5 men named to the All-ACC academic team this spring. Well, it's been an outstanding year for all Seminole athletes, and the fall semester is just around the corner. And remember, you can always stay up to date on Seminole athletics by visiting Seminoles.com. Back to you.
Okay, Mark, thanks for that update. An FSU police officer recently embarked on a 100-mile bike ride from Tallahassee to the Florida State University Panama City campus. Major Jim Russell's Unconquered Ride is dedicated to raising awareness for mental health and to challenge the stigma of asking for help. Take a look at his journey.
I can feel really bad and not wanting to move and just, irritable and stuff, and it's counterintuitive because I don't want to do anything, but I'll get myself out there. And then when I get back, I feel better.
Once I get into the grind, way out there, it'll just kind of fall into a groove and just sort of pace out everything.
But what I'll tell myself, I'll say, Jim, go ride 5 miles. Just get on the bike 5 miles. And then somehow I win that argument. And I go out there and get on the bike, and then 5 miles becomes 10, becomes 15, 20, and then I'm like, wow, I actually went out and rode further than I thought. And I feel good, I feel accomplished. My wife will tell you when I'm getting symptomatic, she'll say, shouldn't you be out riding your bike? And I'll get out there. So, I don't know, that's one of the things, I don't know how to encourage people other than just me demonstrating things to encourage them to do that.
but maybe someone, if you're seeing a professional therapist or a clinician, they can help people work through some of that anxiety and maybe get them out there. It is definitely therapy. Actually, there's a lot of research out there that shows exercise is a therapy for depression. Your health, your mental health, and your well-being is the most important thing. So I encourage you to seek help if you feel that something's wrong, or you feel your life's out of balance. As a matter of fact, it's a good idea just to see a therapist once a year, whether you think you need it or not, just for a mental health checkup, just like we get a physical checkup. So I would encourage people to do that. I'm a person who maybe at heart is sort of an activist. It's kind of why I got into law enforcement, because I wanted to do something about the ills that affects our society. And so I can look back on this as a moment in which I, instead of just talking about something, I actually went out and did something. And I think that's the feeling of accomplishment looking back that I'll feel.
It's out with the old and in with the new generation of residence halls at FSU. The Dorman and Divinity names see new life while we say farewell to the former residence halls. Deconstruction on one of FSU's older residence halls is underway as of June 24th. Housing approximately 15,000 students during its 50-year service, we now say goodbye to Dorman Hall. The hall was constructed in 1959 and was named in honor of Olivia Dorman, a former FSU classics professor and dean of students. The Dorman name still lives on, though. Right next to the original, the new Dorman Hall opened its doors to welcome incoming freshmen for the first time June 20th, just in time for the start of the Summer C session.
Okay, that's going to do it for this edition of FSU Headlines, but you can see more news from Florida State University anytime at Florida State 24/7.
It's the official news website of Florida State University, and you can find it at news.fsu.edu.
On behalf of Nora and everyone here at Florida State University, I'm Dennis Schnitker. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.